Yesterday, I was reading through all of this information that came out in the Savanah Soto case, and there were certain parts, there were certain details in the affidavit that I had to read through multiple times, like no kidding. There were certain details that I had to read like 5 or 6 times in a row because I kept feeling like I must be reading this wrong. Even sitting here before you all today, it still feels like, man, I must have read that wrong. Or did law enforcement get this right? Because it appears that from the time Savanah, Soto, and Matthew pull up to the suspect's house to the time that their bodies were dropped off, that only around 9 minutes passed by. All of this supposedly happened. All of this allegedly happened within like 9-10 minutes. Savanah and Matthew's car pull up to the suspect's home around 11:50-ish. By 11:54, their car is already pulling off somewhere else. By 11:59-ish, the car is already being dropped off in the apartment complex, and Big Papa is already out there supposedly helping his son dump off this car. All of this within 9 minutes. Now, I'm not saying that law enforcement got this wrong, but if they got this right, then hell, there's damn sure more to this story. 9 minutes, and Matthew and Savannah's car were only at the suspect's home for 4 minutes. We're all assuming that they most likely got killed outside of that home, maybe in the garage. I don't know. You know, some of the blood splatter seems to indicate that maybe Matthew was outside of the vehicle, but he could have been in the vehicle. There are certain details that we don't fully know yet, and I'm kind of skeptical about the details we do supposedly know. But, I mean, if you ask me, this leaves like no time for there to have been a scuffle, a struggle. Hell, this hardly leaves no time for there to be even, a greeting. Hey, what's up? It seems as if this timeline is right, that the kid must have just, as soon as Matthew and Savanah pull up, he must have just ended Matthew right away as if this was planned. Not necessarily what I would call a deal gone wrong, but someone coming into this situation fully planning on taking Matthew and Savannah's life, whether it be over what they had in their vehicle or over something else. But Matthew and Savannah's car was only there for 4 minutes. So I'm assuming that within that 4 minutes, Matthew and Savanah were killed. Now, maybe they were killed after the car pulled off. I don't know. But just thinking about these details is mind-boggling. Because you would have to kill these two individuals. You had to drag Matthew's body either from somewhere else or from the front seat to the back seat, right? You had to kill these two individuals. You had to drag a body. You had to drive this car to a different location. And at some point, you had to have had a conversation with your father for your father to know that, oh, I need to meet you over here and help you with this. Now, how does he have time to do all of that if his father didn't have prior knowledge that something was going down? That means that within this 9 minutes, not only did Matthew do what not only did Christopher do what he did to Matthew and Savanah, but he had to have some type of contact with his father to let his father know that he needs help with something. Now, his father's a pretty big dude. I'm a big dude as well. If you call me and you want something, listen, I'm going to take a piss before I leave the house. I'm going to get some things straightened out. All of this isn't going to happen within 9 minutes. And how does that conversation even go? Does Christopher call his dad? Hey, it's an emergency. It's an emergency. I need help right now over here at this apartment complex. You know what I mean? Like, how does that conversation go? Do you get on the phone? Hey, I just, took the lives of two individuals. Like, do you drop all that information? And how can you be on the other side of the phone as a parent? How can you react this quickly? If your kid's dropping some crazy information on you about killing someone and needing help ditching their bodies. Now, I'm not saying that he said all of that over the phone, but at the very least, for his father to be there so quickly, you would think there would have been some urgency in this communication. But when you see the father pull into the complex, it doesn't really look like there's a lot of urgency there. It looks as if the father, he already knows where to go, and it doesn't seem like he's like racing to get over there to make sure his son's okay, right? If your kid calls you and there's this big emergency, hurry, please, hurry, get over here fast. It doesn't look like his car is like racing through there. No, it looks like he's pulling up calm, cool, and collected, having already known what had happened. And how would he even know that his son is in Matthew's vehicle? Why would he know that? Maybe Matthew called him and said, hey, I'm going to be pulling up in this type of car. But it looks like he already knew. Now, of course, I'm not there. I don't know what Ramon knows. I don't know what Christopher knows. I'm just giving my opinion here. But if you ask me, it looks like the dad pulled up already knowing what the deal was. Already knowing that, this car was going to be involved. Already ready to wipe down certain portions of the vehicle and get, I guess, Christopher out of there. It doesn't look like we got an unsuspecting father that knows nothing, that just thinks his son's trapped in an emergency. When he's coming in there, there's not that sense of urgency, and it looks like there's a sense of familiarity, kind of knowing whatever is going on here. It doesn't seem like this is someone that's bewildered. If my son calls me for an emergency and I pull up, I'm not going to know exactly where to go in the apartment complex. I'm going to be driving faster. I'm going to be panicked. And if they pull up to me in a car filled with dead bodies, I'm not going to play it as cool as this father did. So it really looks to me like if this timeline is true and all of this happens within 9 minutes, then the Pops, he needs more charges. He's more involved in this situation than what we think, for sure. If all of this really happens within that time span, like, in order for this to be a deal gone wrong, you need there to be time for the deal to go wrong. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's a deal somewhere involved in this story. But if this is a deal gone wrong, there has to be some time there for a conversation, for an argument, for an altercation. There's not enough time here for all of that to have taken place. And if you ask me, the intentions behind whatever happened to Matthew and Savanah, that's important, at least to me. Because are we dealing with someone who went in with the intention of just buying some trees and it winded up turning into all of this? Was this a situation where Christopher was going into the situation to rob Matthew, but he was not intending on all of this bad stuff happening? Or was Christopher going into this situation already knowing, I am taking Matthew's life? Maybe Savanah's too. Did he go into the situation with the intent to kill? Not that, something went wrong, I tried to do this, I tried to do that, and something happened. No. Did you go in automatically, immediately, with the intention to end at least one of these victims' lives? Because when I look at how quickly this happened, and it appears, we don't know for sure, but it appears that Matthew and Savanah were most likely killed within like 4 minutes. And all of this happened within 9. So that makes me believe that this was already pre-thought out, call it premeditated. This was already planned out. There was already the intention to kill. And if that's the case, then could this be more than just a deal? Could this be more than just about drugs and money? Now, it could still be about that. Kids these days are stupid. Kids these days are stupid. People these days are ruthless. I see a lot of people questioning, how could this just be about weed? Listen, I personally know people who have lost their lives behind tree. Okay? I told this story in a couple of videos ago, but I had a classmate that got killed over an eighth. Listen, while some of you live in areas where you can go into a dispensary and you're buying stuff legally, hell, you're walking around the street smoking it in the open around cops, while some people have the luxury of living their lives that way, other people are dying over weed. Other people are dying over this stuff. That's why I think they need to make it more accessible and legal. But hey, that's a conversation for another day. But understand, I mean, laws are different throughout different places in America. And even in places where stuff is legal, there's still a lot of, stuff, underhanded stuff going on there as well. But yeah, all of this could have happened over some tree. It very well could have. But even if it did, I feel as if Matthew went in the situation kind of knowing, or that Christopher went into the situation kind of knowing that he was going to kill Matthew. And at the very least, I feel like this father had to have some knowledge about something. At the very least, I feel like this father knew that Christopher was going to try to buy something from Matthew, or that Christopher was going to try to rob Matthew. There's no way that all of this happened within 9 minutes. I would like to know from investigators, were you able to figure out if there was a phone call from Christopher to his father within this 9 minutes? I would like to know that as well. Also, another question is because with the charges that we have right now, you would think that Christopher did this on his own. The father didn't know about it. And then Christopher asked his father for help. There's a huge possibility here that the father could have witnessed all of this go down. Right? I mean, for all of this to happen so quickly, I don't understand how there was time for all of this to happen, time to move the bodies, and time to have that conversation, to bring the father in on it, right? There's no time. There's no time to have that conversation to bring the father in on this situation. So I think there's a huge possibility that the father at least witnessed this go down. Maybe right there in his home. I don't know if it was in his garage, his driveway, right outside the house. Was it in the car? Did Christopher get in the car and they drove off? And then Christopher did this? There's a lot of details. And like I said, even the details we have, they're still kind of fuzzy. And from the press conference earlier, we know that there's still pieces of this puzzle to put together. This investigation is still ongoing. So some of this information may change a little bit. Some of the stories may change a little bit. Hell, there may even be another arrest. There may be another suspect. We don't know exactly what's going to come of this yet. But with the information that we have right now, that's all I'm focused on. The information we have right now, it definitely points towards the fact that this was planned and that the father had to have had some type of knowledge, either prior knowledge that this was going to happen, or he had knowledge in the moment, like he saw, witnessed this go down, and in some way took part in all of this, right? But hey, I guess only time will tell. But you can rest assured knowing that more information is definitely going to come out. This isn't over yet. This is not the whole entire story. We're going to get more to this story coming in the coming days. Who knows? Hell, I don't think people were ready for that press conference this morning. So over the coming days, weeks even, I'm sure we'll get more information that makes everything, that paints a clearer picture than what we kind of have right now. But for now, I want to know your thoughts and opinions about all of this. How do you think all of this happened within this short amount of a time span? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm really interested in hearing what you guys have to say about this. But while you're down there, if you're feeling generous, you can send a donation via Super Thanks, or you could donate directly via Cash App. I'll have my Cash App in the pinned comment. You could also help the channel by liking the video, subscribing, ringing the notification bell, and all of that good stuff. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.